Hello. I'm not used to the video starting immediately. Hi, Sassy Girl Beads here, and today I am going to show you all how to make a bracelet with memory wire and talk about a couple of the tools you need to have. And yeah, so let's just jump in and make a beautiful bracelet. All right, I'm gonna change this camera and see if this works for me. Yay, going well. All right, sometimes technology and I argue a little bit, so it's always good when we agree. Okay, so first I'm just going to talk about some of the things that I gathered together to be ready to do this. So, because I'm doing a memory wire bracelet, I needed a chunk of the memory wire, and I probably won't use all of these rings. I'll probably cut it down here in just a minute. But memory wire is kind of like the slinkies, and they just always bounce right back to where they were, and it makes for a really nice bracelet that you can wear that with different size wrists. So you don't have to make it, I don't have to make them strictly to a particular size. They fit multiple people. So that's kind of fun there. All right, so I have my memory wire. The tools that I have specifically to work with memory wire, I have my memory wire cutters. You need to have those specific cutters when you are cutting the memory wire, because if you just use your regular flush cutters, it will wreck them, and you want to have your tools last as long as possible. You don't want to be replacing them all the time. I have these out though for some other pieces that we're going to put together there. Excuse me. And then I just purchased these memory wire pliers that I'm hoping will help me create the ends of my bracelet a little nicer. I struggled with making my own, and so I purchased the pliers to see if that will help me out a little bit. I'm also going to put on something on the end to kind of finish it up a little bit. So I have a couple jump rings here, a couple eye pins that we may need, and then just a couple charms here that will potentially pull those off of. All right, and then just my regular tools that we'll need at some point. I have two sets of pliers, and I have my split ring pliers that will make jump ring like circles that I need for the ends of my eye pins. All right, so I'm going to tuck these away and put them just off to the side here so they're giving me as much space as possible. And I think we're going to start with finishing one of the ends of this memory wire so that when I start putting beads on, they don't fall off the other end. All right, and so I just need one of the ends here. Hopefully that is, it looks pretty good. I was checking my focus on my camera there. All right, so I want to create some sort of ring on the end, basically just bending this back so that the beads don't fall off the other end, because that's important, and just finishes them up a little bit nicely there. So here we go. I'm just going to jump in here, and honestly this is the first time I've used these pliers, so bear with me here if I make some mistakes, but we'll just cut the mistakes off because I can do that. All right, so I'm going to grab that end and kind of grab the wire. I'm going to push this wire with my thumb to try to wrap it around the larger of the two. And I'm just going to kind of move along slowly here and pushing the wire against the pliers and pinching them, of course, to keep the wire in there, and just moving it a little bit at a time, creating that circular end. And I'm pretty close there. Let's see what we have. Hey, not too bad. With the pliers there. So this is the circle that I ended up with, and I'm kind of twisting around here. There's a little bit of a gap, so I'm going to try to squeeze that together a little bit more just so that there isn't much of a gap. And also I'm going to check for the sharpness of the end of the wire, because you don't want that to be rubbing against your skin as you wear it, and so I'm going to try to tuck that in just a little bit more. So I'm going to grab some flat nose pliers here and kind of bend it up a little bit, just kind of working with it to get it to lay just the way I want it to. Okay, and then I'm feeling for that rough poke of the end. I don't think that's going to be bad. I think that's going to work pretty well. So that's what the end looks like. But if I let go of it, of course, it has that memory, so it's going to spring right back together there. All right, and right now, looks like I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 coils, which is probably going to be too many for what I'm thinking of. As I wrap this around, you can kind of see what it's going to, you know, how many times. And that's going to be a little bit, probably too much. But I think what I'll do is maybe cut it right in half, roughly. All right, so 1, 2, 3. And grabbing it is a little tricky here, because I don't want to cut it too short. I want to make sure that I'm cutting it with enough rings there. And it's a little tricky. Okay, let's try that. Looks like I've got 1 full, 2, 3, 2, 4. So I'm just going to cut off this end here. I could leave it on. I probably have plenty enough beads to leave it on. So it's just a personal preference. But this gives me the opportunity to show off my memory wire cutters. So with the memory wire cutters, they cut through this material super smooth with almost zero pressure. It just clips it right very easily. Where if I was trying to use my regular flush cutters, I would really have to force it, and that would damage the blade. So, all right, there we go. Now I'm ready to start divvying up my beads here. So I have this nice little mixture of turquoise and silver beads, and you get to witness, I'll probably like make a big mess, but that's okay. It will not have been the first time or the last time, because sometimes they get away from me. All right, set that to the side for a second. I know I want some of these, and so I'm going to just find a good spot to cut the string, and I'm going to make a pile of those without shooting them everywhere if possible. And do the same thing here. Basically, I'm going to do it for the whole strand. I could have had this done before the video, probably in the future I will. But just practicing all of my video skills, and I was really more focused on making sure I had all of my all of the tools and pieces and parts that I needed to make it happen. All right, so there's one set of beads. I think I'm going to go with these as well. Those are pretty. So I'm going to clip that string and empty the strand as carefully as I can without making a huge mess if possible. There's those. And I need to have some of these. So when I cut it off that card, it made some nice little circles. Go ahead and get these clipped. And the bracelet that I'm going to make, I'm not going to worry too much about having big patterns happening. I think with these type of beads that I chose, a mix smash of everything I think is going to work great. Put those kind of together there. So I have 3. I don't need that one because I already have it. I have that one. Maybe this one yet. Some just plain silver for sure. All right, in this set of beads, I'm sure I picked up, I know I picked up at a local store. I don't remember which store. I do tend to buy things from Hobby Lobby and Michael's and Joann's before that store closed. I really like to be able to touch them and look at them with different types of beads and mix them up. And sometimes when I buy things online, it's just not the same feel. So when I see something I love, I grab it, and that's just how I roll here. I have a craft show coming up this weekend, and it's been a while since I've done an outdoor one. Luckily, I get to put my tent up the day before the show, so I can break up that setup time a little bit. Kind of takes some of the pressure off. All right, let's see. We need some of these. And like I said, I should have probably cut all these apart ahead of time, but I spent more time just making sure I had all of my tools. Someday, my goal is to be able to make videos right in the room where I typically do all of my beading. But right now, the desk that I'm using isn't quite large enough to keep all of my pieces and parts and tools and computer and all of that in the same space. So, all right, let's see. I think that's probably going to be pretty good. Maybe a few of these. All right, one more to offload here. And it's okay that they get all mixed up because they're going to get mixed up on the bracelet anyways. If there's ever something that you see that you love, that either A, you want to purchase the final product of, definitely get a hold of me right away, because I always will take my new items to craft shows, and sometimes they don't even get a chance to get on the website before I sell them. So yeah, or if there's a color combination that you want me to work with, because you'd rather just have something made for you, let me know. I love to make things that are specific to people, to customers, because then I can make it the way that they really envision that they would love to have. All right, so here we go. Now is the easy part. You just feed the beads on, and again, I'm not necessarily doing a pattern per se with these. I'm just gonna keep it very random, which is great since I'm trying to also video at the same time, because if I was trying to talk, or when I try to talk and count at the same time, that does not work very well. So I need to do one thing or the other and not both. But with this memory wire, it works really well for picking up the beads off the mat. I don't have to, oh, sorry about that. Apparently my computer goes to sleep a little bit there. I'll have to keep an eye on that. All right. All right, this little bugger doesn't want to go on here. So we'll skip over him and go to the next bunch here. These beads, I think, are a little stuck together. Alrighty. So, yeah, just randomly doing different colors. A couple of the memory wire bracelets that I've done some patterns with portions of them, but I think that's one of the reasons why I love this idea. Random is great sometimes. And you can do big sections of things or little sections, whatever you want. And so I'm just shoving them on here, and this is going to take a few minutes. What projects are you working on? Are you a beader, or do you just like to watch other people work on things? I know I watch a lot of videos just in awe of people's skills at the different things that they work on. So, and then I just kind of push them down a little bit so that they get closer to the end every so often there. But yeah, another thing that I saw with this memory wire that you could do is cut them so that you have like one loop, and then you can make those into some very fun earrings. I have not done that yet, but I think that's on my list of to-dos, because I think they just look very cool, and they'd be very light. So if you prefer to wear earrings that are light, and I think these would be great for that. Now, of course, the beads that I picked out are all fairly small. One thing I have realized with memory wire bracelets, you typically have to pick beads that have a small height, because the larger beads won't fit on the curve of the wire. And so when I first started making some of the types of beads that I tried that I wanted to use wouldn't work because they wouldn't fit on the wire. And so that was something I had to learn and work with. But these, I think, are also great for those of you that have been beading for a while. Do you have a little pile of leftover beads, bead soup? This type of bracelet or jewelry, I think, lends itself very well to using up those odds and ends that just you didn't need for other projects. So if you haven't fast forwarded yet, Certainly you could fast forward in the video to get closer to the end. I don't know how entertaining I am, but if you're still with me, yay! Those of you that are local, I also would be willing to do classes. You know, sometimes people want to do different hobbies or crafts or try different techniques, but don't want to put out the expense for purchasing the tools. And I have no problem sharing the tools that I have, and in fact, I oftentimes will teach bracelet making with the girls on my robotics teams. And so over the years, I have gathered a handful of tools. So if you just want to come over to make some jewelry and borrow the tools, absolutely. I also have lots of beads for sale. And so if you want to come shopping for beads first and then put some jewelry together, absolutely. Oh, I haven't been paying attention to how well I'm showing this on the camera. I hope that it's going okay. That's a cool bead, all kind of flat and squished. But yeah, just filling it up. Probably forgetting some beads over here, but that's okay. I tried to center my camera around the mat, so as long as I was on the mat somewhere, you should be able to see it. I don't know, when I go back and watch the video, I'll see how well the camera is adjusting. So, for those of you that don't know, I'm a retired teacher. I taught for 29 years in high school, mostly math classes. And when 2020 hit and we had to teach online, I learned very quickly how to use this document camera. It's not this exact same one, but this type of thing. And I actually enjoyed it. I liked taking the videos and then having those available to students. Even well after 2020, I continued to video all of my lessons, and then I could post them so kids who were absent, they could watch the lecture just as if they were in the class, or when they were studying for a test, they could go back and watch the videos that they needed to. And so I got very comfortable using the document camera. When I decided it was time to retire, I knew that I was going to be making jewelry. That was always kind of my plan. And so I purchased my own document camera because I thought that creating how-to videos would be something that I could easily do. And here I am. Okay, got a little ways to go yet, but that's how that's coming along so far. Alright, and I lost the end here. There we go. Alright, so I'm about halfway, maybe just a little over half. Let's make sure that the computer doesn't go back to sleep at some point. Now I do have, for those of you that are new to me, I do have a website, and I put some of my finished pieces on the website. I also put the components, the beads that I have for sale. I know that I'm not going to be able to ever use all of the beads that I have, and so I have been putting some of those up on the website. So the website is sassygirlbeads.com. Very easy to remember. And if you didn't find this video on Facebook, if you came across it right on YouTube, then just know that I also have a Facebook page, Sassy Girl Beads. Pretty easy to remember them. Right. Okay, so yeah, this part of it is super easy. There's not any technique that you have to be skilled at before you jump into this, which is great. I've been beading for over 20 years now, and mostly self-taught or from watching videos. And that's one thing I loved about this hobby is I didn't have to take a bunch of classes to get started. I was able to just jump in, and when I did start, that was back in the days when dollar stores were all over the place, but you could buy things for $1. And that's how I started. I bought beads for $1 at the dollar store and made stuff for myself. Started branching out from there. But I love the fact that I didn't have to invest a ton of money up front, because that wouldn't have happened. I didn't have a lot of extra money back in those days, and I was looking for a hobby something that I could easily put away for a while and come back to when I had the chance, and something that didn't take up a lot of space. So beading was perfect. And I started it really to make things for myself. I as a teacher, I wanted to always match my jewelry to my outfits, but couldn't really afford to go out and just buy jewelry for every single outfit or every single color that's out there. But by making my own, I found that to be very affordable. And now I have such a big stash of finished jewelry, there's no way I could ever wear it all. And so I quickly realized that I just enjoy making it as well, and putting different colors together and patterns, and it's just a way to calm my brain. And ooh, that one's not going to go on there. All right, we're getting there. I'm almost done. I've got just one more section here. So if you're still with me, thank you. And I'm actually going to throw in a little, what do they call them? Easter eggs. I'm gonna throw in a little Easter egg here. for those of you that that are paying attention, that are still listening, that are highly entertained by someone just rambling while they throw beads on a string here, on wire. So here's the little Easter egg, and I'm not going to post this anywhere. I'm not going to announce it on my Facebook page or anything. But if you happen to come to one of my craft shows where I'm at and mention that you not only saw this video, but you heard about this little Easter egg that was planted in the video, I'll give you $5 off of your next purchase. So the code, we need to have a code of some sort. Let's call it, surprise coupon. Surprise coupon. And if you mention that, hey, I watched your video and you have this surprise coupon, how do I get that? I'm going to give you $5 off. So if you're local and happen to go to one of the craft shows this year, so in 2025, I need to put that out there in case this sticks around for a long time. So in the year 2025, if you either physically come to one of my craft shows, or if you send me an email, I will send you the coupon that you can then use on the website. All right, my email is really easy to remember as well. Guess what it is? sassygirlbeads@gmail.com. Now, when you spell that out, Sassy Girl Beads, SassygirlBeadz. All right, had to be a little sassy with the name, but yeah, email me and say, hey, I watched your video and you have this surprise coupon in there. How do I get it? Then I will send you the code by email, and you can go on to the website and use that $5 off coupon on anything you want to purchase. That sounds like fun, doesn't it? I'm going to have to write it down that I said this, though. Oh my goodness, it's been a half an hour. Thank you so much for sticking around. And, you know, kind of wish I was like a comedian as well as in my former life, because then this would be a little bit more entertaining. But that's okay. If you ever want to have me package up a little kit for you to make your own memory wire bracelet, let me know. It would be super easy for me to do that. I'm getting so close here. But yeah, putting together a little kit would be really easy. I would just want you to make sure that you had those two tools. This is the absolute necessity one, is the cutter. This pliers worked really, really well. So I highly recommend it. But my first couple ones that I made, I just used regular, I don't have them sitting here. I used my round nose pliers. Anything that had a circle, that had a circular end to it, would work. But definitely these pliers worked pretty slick. All right, getting there, almost there. So excited to see how this turns out. All right, so it's the year 2025, and if you're watching this video in 2025, there's a surprise coupon that you can redeem either in person at one of my craft shows or online, but you would have to email me so I can contact you. So my email again is sassygirlbeads@gmail.com, and beads ends in a Z. All right, okay, I just need to like finish this. So close. Thanks for hanging out with me today. And giving me somebody to chat at. I'm actually quite surprised that my dog didn't try to join us. Be sleeping. Okay, oh, just a few more. Okay, it gets a little tricky to hold on to with the beads and the bracelet that wants to spring back at any moment. But I need to leave enough on the end to make that circular end so that the things don't fall off. Let's try one more here. Okay, we're going to try that. And I'm going to just kind of make sure I'm pushing along, make sure everything's nice and tight on there. I don't have any big blank spaces. Okie dokie. So I'm just going to do another end on here. And yeah. Alright, so here we go. How do I want to do this? So I want to grab it close to where it doesn't have to be super tight there, because it's fine. It's probably good that the beads have a little bit of wiggle room. So I'm going to give them a little bit more wiggle room there. And then I'm just going to start pressing the wire against the bigger rounded end there. How do I want this to end? Oh, okay, so this one I kind of had it curling out from the bracelet. So I think I'm going to try to do the same thing with this one. So I'm going to grab it here. But if you're doing your own, you can really put that ring anywhere you want. Okay. Just wants to move. Okay, bend. So I'm pressing with my finger here against the round, and then I need to what the heck here? Bring these this way. Okay. And then I'm just gonna move the wire a little bit at a time. Maybe if I show it this way. So I'm pressing the wire and turning the pliers just a little bit at a time. So pressing and turning, press and turn, press and turn. What am I doing? Okay, it's getting there. Just press and turn. Just be careful, that end is going to be pretty sharp. Okay, you can see how that's kind of turning there. Probably should have given it a little bit more space, but that's okay. Press and turn, press and turn. Now that's going to be too long, too extra there. So probably what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to take at least one of those beads off. It gives a little bit more space. But I'm going to cut this because like if I flatten it out to where I want it to be, it's way too much. So let's cut that down with our memory wire cutters, not just a random cutter. And let's see here. It's being slippery. Like right there. Just bend it some more so that it turns in. That first loop did such a nice job. To grab it more on the end here. Okay, that's not too bad. Kind of work it, bend it the way you want it to be. There we go. Yay! All right, so the last part I'm going to do, and again, thank you so much for sticking around, because, you know, makes me feel like I'm talking to somebody at least. All right, I'm moving all these beads over to give myself some space, and I'm going to put a charm on each end. Just because, I mean, you can leave it like this, that's fine. But a little dangle on there just kind of, I think, finishes it off. So let's see here. I need two. I think I'm going to use the little octopus and then a little starfish. Alright, so these I believe are connected with split rings here. Jump rings, I mean. Jump rings. I don't always use the right terms. It's not that I don't know them. It's just my brain doesn't always want to come up with the right word in the moment when I am trying to speak the right word. Alright. Okay, so there's the octopus. He's so cute. And then let's also get the starfish off of here. And I'm just twisting the jump rings off. I'm not going to use them for anything anyways. Alright, so okie dokies. Alright, one thing I noticed is that these charms have a ring on each end, which is fine. And so I'm going to basically hang it from here and then put a little, I'll use, oh, yeah, no, I want to use head pins instead. Now that I see what I've got going on here. And I think I have two head pins right here, so yay. Usually they're not sitting right here, so I'd have to get up and go. Hey, we're almost done. Okay, so I'm going to attach, I think I'm going to attach these just directly here and then hang a turquoise bead off the end. I think that'll work. Okay, so with my jump rings, I need my 2 sets of pliers. And with jump rings, we don't pull them apart. We twist them open. And like that. So I'm going to hook it onto one of those. Hook it onto the starfish. Together. And then if I take my glasses off, I can see just a little bit better. Okay, how does that? Happy with that? Not really. Sorry, now I'm kind of mumbling. There we go. There we go. Alright, so there's one. Let's go ahead and put the octopus on the other one. Again, just twist it open. And I try not to twist it more open than what I need to either. Alright, here's the octopus. Oh, this is so cute. So cute! Alright, and I mean, I could leave it like that, but now it's got that extra little ring on there, so I'm going to put another little, just a small dangle. I don't want to go too much longer. So I have a head pin, and it doesn't really matter which. I need to start with a smaller one though, so that it doesn't fall off the end of the head pin. And I'm just going to throw on a couple beads. Maybe a silver, maybe this one, and this one. So I think this, yeah, just 4 little beads to dangle off there. Okay. And I have my handy dandy one-step looper tool. You don't have to use a tool for this. You could just use your flush cutter and make your own loop. I got this tool as a gift several years ago, and I love it. And so I use it whenever I get the chance. Oh, I don't have my nose pliers right here. Let's just use this. It's a little too thick as well. Alright, I'm missing the one tool. It's in the other room. Let's see what we can do with this. There we go. And so you just work with it until it gets to be the shape and the direction that you want it to go in. And I'm going to do a second one real quick. We are winding down here. Let's do 1, 2. You can do the same thing or different things, whatever you want. And that's the other part about making jewelry. You can do whatever you want, whatever you like. All right, that one-step looper is just nice. It does it almost all for you. You can use those for something else later. And like I said, I have round nose pliers that I would typically use for this, but they are in the other room. So we are just improvising, which I'm really good at that. Okay, that'll work. There we go. All right, so I just need 2 more jump rings to attach them, which those I have right here. I have these cute little container boxes that I got a while ago. Boxes are actually too big for a lot of these things, but they work very well. Alrighty. Almost done. And if you fast forwarded to get to this point, great! You're smart. But I will say that I planted a little surprise earlier in the video. So if you're watching this video in the year 2025 and you like my jewelry and you want a discount on something that you love, go back and watch the other part of the video. The part you've fast forwarded through, because I planted a little surprise. Okay, where's the little split here? There it is. Alright, I'm almost done. Twist this open and connect this guy to the octopus. Gosh, I love this. There we go. Okay, we're done. It's got two little dangles on each end just to kind of finish it off. Let the camera let the camera zoom in a little bit and make it clear. Hopefully the whole thing wasn't all blurry the whole time. But isn't that cute? I love it. I love it. And then to put it on, you just wrap it around and kind of get it where you want it to go. But there it is. Come on, zoom in, zoom in. Why is my camera not zooming? There it goes. It's just slow. There it is. And I got the starfish on this side, and the octopus is on the other side. Now, certainly if you wanted both ends to end on the same side, you can cut your wire to do that. Yeah, I'm pretty good with random. But there we go. That's going to go up for sale. For sure. Maybe I'll keep it. All right. So again, thank you so much for checking out my video here. And if you're interested in learning more, let me know. If you want to just do some shopping, this is Sassy Girl Beads. And so on my website, or check me out on Facebook. And I'm just going to click this button to make sure that button works, which it doesn't. I went away. There we go. Oh, I wanted to click this button. All right, so thank you all so much. And yeah, the bracelet, whoops, turned out pretty good. Super happy with it. All right, have a great day and happy beading.